Alright, so I'm trying to make less sawdust in the shop. So the very first thing I did with the table saw was I went ahead and I put a box on the bottom of here. How I did that was I basically took measurements for the bottom piece from narrow, long, etc. Made a bottom piece, put it in there. I ended up having to take off the bottom rung here and the bottom rung here, and actually one on the other side as well, to get it to fit. And then I just put them all back together. Next thing I did was I took measurements for the angles. So let's say this was 18 and this was 16 and it was 8.5 high. I just cut an inch off, quarter or sloping away at an angle on both sides, and then I made it long enough where it would go past this bolt hole, but short enough so it didn't interfere with these, and then I bolted these in place. What I did with everything up to the very end was this piece, or the sides and the very front are all bolted through with bolts on the back. This back piece, I actually put a threaded, I don't know the word for it off the top of my head, where you pound it into the wood and it screws in, so I can actually loosen this up and tighten it, because the actual, what it's screwing into is actually adhered to the wood, so therefore I can remove this bottom piece. So that's technically secure. Try to do this as cheap as possible, so this is all stuff I had laying around the shop. Next thing I had was a piece of conduit, electrical conduit, outdoor conduit. I just took a small angle to it, cut a hole big enough so it slides in. At some point I'll go back through and maybe caulk all this stuff, but for the most part it's doing what I want it to do. So I put that in there, and with that I have a shop vac. I'm going to go ahead and slides on there. You could tape it if you wanted to, but again, it's doing the purpose that I intended it to do. I am still getting some dust kicking up, so I wanted to cover up the back. You can see in the front there's a hole there. On the front there, I'm just going to put in like a 8.5 by 11 sheet of magnet that you can buy at like Walmart. I'm going to slap that in front. That'll pretty much cover up those holes. But for the back side here, what I'm looking at doing is, I'll show you. I'm just looking at covering the back side, and this is just for stationary. So if I wanted to do an angle cut, I would have to remove this. First thing I did was I made a template out of cardboard. You can see that it will slide in behind. And the one thing I did measure for right here was I cranked the saw blade all the way up, so there was clearance here, and I cranked it all the way down so there was clearance on the bottom. Next thing I did is I took this template, I transferred it to wood, just a thin piece of wood here. So this wood will slide in here, and as you can see, it'll sit perfectly in here. So you take all this air gap that was there, and now you take that away, and now when you turn the shop vac on, I took sawdust from the top of the saw table, dropped it here, and it's actually getting sucked in through these small holes. To adhere this, my plan is, I haven't done it yet, because I'm still in the beginning stages, is I'm going to drill maybe 3 holes, so 1, 2, 3, and then 2 on this side, possibly 3 with 2 on the bottom here, and I'm just going to put some magnets in there, and then I will JB weld them in there, or some type of adhesive in there, and therefore when I put it on there, it'll just stick right to the side, and it won't be able to come loose. I didn't really want to drill in here and have it removable, because or removable with screws. Again, because if I have to make any angle cut whatsoever, this has to come off. But 95% of your cuts on a table saw is going to be just the way it sits. So you'll be just fine with that. So again, made the cardboard template, transferred it to the wood. I'm going to put some magnets on here. The magnets will make it stick to the wood as is, and then that'll pretty much increase my suction. Again, with the magnet on the front side, that'll be just that much more, and it's cheap, easy, and I spent nothing on this. So Hopefully you can use it to your advantage and do the same with what you got at your house, your shop, whatever it may be, and good luck from there.